Well, we're in our own special bubble here in South Australia. Life is certainly nowhere close to getting back to normal. With vaccines starting to roll out, could we resume world travel soon? And what happens to the tens of thousands of Aussies stuck overseas? Joining me for a chat about how things could unfold is futurist Gihan Perera. Welcome, Gihan.
Hey Jenny, good to be with you again.
It kind of feels like we'll never get overseas again. What are your thoughts on the future of global travel, Gihan?
Oh, I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon, Jenny, but it'll happen. It will happen. We will get overseas again. And, we put the border in place, international borders. We put those borders in place early in the year for very good reasons, and it's worked out really well for Australia. But, of course, we have to start easing them now, and having a variety of vaccines is definitely going to help. But it's not going to happen anytime soon.
Yeah, do you think the vaccines are the silver bullet to allowing world travel to resume?
It's definitely going to be one of the things that's going to make it easier, Jenny. But vaccines are complicated things, and one of the things that we all need to understand about the way that vaccines work is there's two ways that they work. So one is that they absolutely protect the person who's got the vaccine from catching the coronavirus at all. And that's the best kind. And that's what we're hoping these new vaccines would do. But at the moment, they haven't been proven to do that. What they do is they allow you to catch the virus, but you don't get sick from it. So even if you're vaccinated, if we're bringing in plane loads of people who are vaccinated from overseas, they're not going to get sick, but they might be carriers. So they might be carrying the virus. And if they're bringing it into Australia and we're not vaccinated yet, then it's just going to open up the problem all over again. So until all of Australia is vaccinated with this kind of vaccine, then we can't really open up our borders completely. We have to keep doing it with hotel quarantine as we've been doing.
So it's going to have to be a slow system. And there's, of course, the kind of jostling of who gets priority now with coming back. Is it, international students that spend a lot of money at our universities? Is it the tens of thousands of Aussies who are stuck overseas and they're slowly getting entry back in? What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, look, I just feel we have a really strong obligation to our fellow Australians who have a right to be in our country, and I can understand why it's difficult for them to get back, but I would prioritise them first. But equally, there are other reasons why you might want to allow other people in. So people are coming into Australia. People are getting exemptions for business reasons. As you say, there's a lot of benefits to having international students coming back, not only to study, but also to do part-time work and to do casual work. They're in the hospitality sector. There are cafes and restaurants that are struggling now because they would otherwise have had international students working part-time in their cafes. It's earning a little bit of money that they can, but they're struggling to find staff at the moment. So there are a lot of it's a complex set of reasons, but we need to start opening our borders, and the way that we do that is in a controlled way. So at the moment, it's pretty much, we're saying, well, it's slammed shut to everybody except for Australians returning and a few exceptions, but we've got to start relaxing that a little bit and really carefully.
Futurist Gihan Perera is with us, and of course we have to sort of give up some of our rights, our privacy, in order to roll out systems that enable us to get out and about a bit more. In South Australia we have this QR code system which is mandatory in all stores and supermarkets and pubs and clubs and things like that now, but it's kind of that compromise that you have to make as a citizen to be allowed to resume some form of normality.
Yeah, and I think Australians are getting more used to that now, Jenny. And we had this conversation months ago when we had the COVID Safe app, and how there was a lot of privacy concerns around that, and it didn't even track where you were. Whereas now, in many parts of Australia, and it's true here in Western Australia as well, we're quite happy to scan a QR code when we walk into somewhere, and then our government's tracking us, and we now kind of assume that that's something we're willing to do in order to allow us to have some of those freedoms again.
Although not everyone's happy about that.
No, and I think we should be always careful, and I'm particularly careful. I've been very careful about giving up my information to anybody, whether it's the government or a private company or the health system. So we should make a well-informed decision about that. But we're more willing to do that now, given that we understand that that's the price that we have to pay, given that we've got this invisible to the naked eye organism that's ravaging the rest of the world and has a potential to cause harm in Australia again as well.
Are you optimistic for 2021, Gihan?
Yeah, I am, Jenny. I really am, because I think that we've made some amazing progress in 2020. I mean, we've never had a vaccine for a coronavirus before, and even the other vaccines that we have typically take at least 10 years to be produced. So we've done some amazing work, because the whole world has come together, and not everyone's making smart decisions, but overall I'm really optimistic that we're making good decisions going forward into the future, and especially for Australia. For Australia, the way that we've managed the pandemic, we've listened to really sound health advice. We've made our decisions based on listening to the scientists and the medical experts. Our economy is going to come back faster than many other parts of the world. At the same time, it has been a tragedy for many people. I think that of the hundreds of Australians who've died, each one of them has a community that's really been affected by it. It's not just one person, and it's not just a number on a chart. These are real people, and there are businesses that have to close down. People are losing their jobs. People are worried about whether they'll have a job. So there are definitely people who've been badly affected by it. But overall, yes, I'm optimistic for 2021.
And do you think much will change? You know, hugs and kisses over Christmas. I think there'll be a lot of families still doing that.
Oh, look, it's so tempting, isn't it, Jenny? And I really feel for families especially families who've been through a really tough time this year, and they're saying, well, let's make an exception over Christmas. And I really feel for them. But personally, I think we should follow whatever the current health advice is. And so for my parents are in their 80s, and they're really well, they're really fit. They would normally just be hugging and kissing family. And my mum's giving air kisses to everyone, because she recognises that it's not ideal, but she's willing to do that because she knows it's the right thing to do.
Oh, well, all the best to you, Gihan. Have a lovely Christmas. Air kisses. And thanks so much for all your thoughtful contributions to the program this year. It's been great to have you on the show.
Yeah, thanks, Jenny, and I wish you all the best, and to all your listeners as well.